All right, Sean. Well, excited to sit down with you today. We met in 2019 when you were how old?
Oh, it's hard to say. 22, 3,
22.
something like that.
I was a little worried about buying you a beer.
We did meet at the airport on that quick meeting to grab a beer.
Yeah. We've known each other since 2019, since the Series A, and we've invested in every round since. You've just raised your Series E. Great round, great investors coming in. Tell us about the round and what does it mean for you and the company?
I really think it signifies how far we've come, where we are 10 times bigger than our last round, profitable. We have definitively the best product in our market, and that's becoming increasingly obvious when you talk to customers. And so I think it's a big validation to what we've built, but also a fuel and an enabler forward. And I think when you think forward, it also signifies where we're headed. We want to build a lasting, massive, and global company, and one that we think could be a public and long-lasting business. And when you think about the investors we've brought in, from incredible existing investors like Kleiner Perkins and Franklin Templeton and Founders Fund, to new investors in this round like the Lead Strike, or investors like Bally Gifford, the New View, or even some places I'm proud about, like I went to Georgia Tech, I left to start the business, and we've had a long flourishing relationship since then. They didn't quite write me off, I was thankful. A foundation like the Georgia Tech Foundation investing in this round because they see the public readiness we're reaching and where the business is headed. So I think it's a very big validation to what we've built, but also a fuel forward and signifying where we're headed.
Let's talk a little bit about Stords. You started the company when you were 18 years old in college.
That's right.
Not the most obvious business for most folks to start. What motivated you?
Yeah, I had a long background growing up selling products online. It was kind of my way to pay for whatever I wanted as a kid, and did that through middle school, high school, worked at an automotive manufacturer when I was coming into Georgia Tech. And going back to class, just thinking about, well, the biggest problem I had as a small e-commerce seller was shipping speeds and shipping dominating my reviews more than my product. And then I worked at this massive multi-billion-dollar global company, and they were facing so many of the same problems. Well, maybe we can solve this through technology and network and scale and building more Amazon-like delivery. So we operate an end-to-end fulfillment network and vertically integrated software platform to provide that for today's leading brands. So hundreds and hundreds of the kind of best-in-class blue chip e-commerce companies you may be seeing and checking out from, we're probably actually powering the back end and delivering to your home.
And massive reach, right? 15% of US households?
Yeah, last year we powered about 1% of Black Friday, Cyber Monday. We're delivering to about 15% of US households per year, over $5 billion a year of commerce, and this year over about 50 million packages.
That's incredible. What did it take to get there?
A long time and a lot of effort, but really building out a top to bottom technology stack has been our competitive advantage. When we run the software that runs the fulfillment centers and the assets, the software that orchestrates the whole network, and the software that's in the cart talking to consumers, we're really the only one like Amazon that has that vertically integrated system, so that when we're telling you you'll get it by 5 p.m. tomorrow, we're already looking at exactly what unit, what building, what last mile carrier. And that's really our secret sauce and competitive advantage that makes everything better, faster, cheaper, and the kind of incumbent industry unable to keep up with us.
Where does this all go? Like, what's the future of this part of commerce? What's the future of the consumer experience? What's the future for brands? How do you think about that?
Today, even the one building and powering this mission, even I find a product I love online and say, I wonder if I can get this tomorrow from a massive retailer. And when it's $5 for 7 to 10 day delivery versus free delivery tomorrow at 5 p.m., I know where I check out. And so I think the future is we've made so much progress, but the playing field is still not level. There is not a yet de facto winner that's powering delivery for the rest of the internet. You have things like Shopify powering the storefront. You have Stripe powering the payments, but who's powering the delivery infrastructure for the rest of the internet? And that's what we want to be. And so only if and when you can shop at really any brand and get that same Amazon-like experience have we reached the fullness of our mission.
How do you grow into that? What does it take to get there? Obviously, you have a network of third-party providers. You have your own warehouse footprint. How do you grow all this? How do you scale all this? What does it take to build a business like this?
Yeah, the hardest part of Stords, but also what makes me so passionate about it, is that we're so multi-product in nature. And kind of like our first value proposition almost requires multiple products. You can't do it with just one. You have to build all this end-to-end network, all this scale, all this technology. The complexity and what you have to build is part of the moat in itself as much as the scale is. And so we are still so early in the fullness of the product set we can build because of the kind of foundational platform position we sit in with our customers. And so it's that kind of constant tension of we're building both physical infrastructure and software together in one, operating in harmony and getting that culture right and the kind of multi-product cohesion right is both the biggest challenge, but also the greatest opportunity forward. And so we just keep stacking more and more products and value onto the same core, which is let's make the best, fastest, cheapest consumer experience we can.
So you're operating incredible scale. You've gotten the business to profitability, and you had a bang out Q1. You've raised a great round, which is awesome. What's next?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been a crazy few years from the 2022 to today, getting to be 10 times bigger, profitable, having one of the leading products in the market where our win rate and our customer feedback is just so apparent of how we stack up to the competitors in the peer industry. And so moving forward, it's kind of a two-part function of the core and the fulfillment network is just more and more scaled. It's compounding, it's growing rapidly. Every new unit we put into that network is better, faster, cheaper for the whole network, and we've really seen that flywheel connect. Then we're using that foundation to really just go above and beyond, saying opportunity one was get the fastest, cheapest Amazon-like deliveries possible. Now opportunity two is really winning that consumer, building the trust, building the brand. We already deliver to tens of millions of consumers a year. Like I said, 15+% of US households. We want to build trust and loyalty in that, where you see that Stords is powering a delivery. You're checking out, you see a stored delivery promise or stored shipping insurance, and you go, oh wow, I've experienced this before and nothing was like it. I trust this brand, and you convert at a higher rate. So we're investing so much in that front-end commerce element.
If you think about your vision for Stords, how has it evolved? Certainly since the Series A, but maybe even since the founding days.
I'm a big believer in be so convicted on the mission and the problem, but so flexible on the details of how you get there. And one of our core values as a company is learn and iterate, which really just means every single day we're going to see new patterns. And if we can't pivot and iterate, then we're going to fall behind. And we have to be making micro pivots constantly. And so we've kind of always believed every brand of all sizes needs the best, fastest, cheapest deliveries. And in different time periods, let's take COVID, that's manifested in different ways. In COVID, what they needed the most was the flexibility behind it. In today's environment with rising ad costs, rising parcel costs, rising tariffs, what they need is the lowest cost and the highest quality. And so we're constantly evolving with, well, where are customers headed and how can we position to be ahead of where they're headed and around the corner? But we don't want to be chasing trends. We want to position ourselves long term because this is where we believe commerce is going. And when the wave finally catches up and is in vogue, then we're going to be so well positioned to capture it.
Even though you don't focus on trends, if you think about AI, if you think about robotics, how will they transform the industry that you operate in?
We're incredibly excited about them because we have that foundation of the actual volume and infrastructure, the embedded software and workflows, and all the data. And when you look at the biggest costs in our business, it's either around how decisions are made in routing and parcel selection and warehouse slotting. And that's an area where AI can add so much leverage and value and expand our economics, add more value to customers and end consumers. And so that's an exciting trend we're investing a lot in. But also, we run a physical infrastructure business in fulfillment. And our other biggest cost is labor. And when we look at the ability to deploy robotics across that network, there's so much disparity in the warehousing industry of so many facilities still run on pen and paper. They're so far from ever being able to implement a robot that when we have this vertically integrated tech, our ability to deploy robotics rapidly, seamlessly, and actually see leverage from them is higher than an incumbent peer. And so we're early in that journey too, but we're already beginning to see pretty severe unit economic leverage and efficiency by deploying more robots.
What's your dream for Stords?
I think the dream for us is that every business you check out on, besides those major platforms, are powered by Stords, and you as a consumer trust us, you maybe even have an account with us, and we really level that playing field. And if we do so, in many ways we could expand the GDP of the internet, bring more small businesses, mid-sized businesses online, or just enable this, what is today one of the highest cost items for a brand. If you talk to these brands, our service is typically their number one expense after manufacturing or tied with manufacturing. Every point that goes down is more dollars back to their bottom line or more back into their top of funnel. And so it's all about leveling the playing field, changing that paradigm and making it easy and level for both the consumers and the brands.